This podcast is just the two craziest women in the world going back and forth going, no, that's not crazy. You don't sound crazy. You're so right.
If we were men, this would be horrible. But it's still a little horrible.
I'm CJ. And I'm Lou. Grab your tinfoil hat and tune into Speculating Wildly, your number one source for completely accurate, opinion-based news.
Okay. How was your day?
Cut what I just did.
No. Okay, let's...
Bad.
No!
Not bad. Not bad, but, like, not good.
Tell us about it.
Monday.
Mondays are the worst day.
Woke up. Had to move my car. Circled my block for an hour last night looking for parking.
Yuck.
Had to park in a tow zone that started at 6 a.m. So I woke up at 5:45 to move my car.
That's no fun.
And then I was up.
Yeah. It's weird. You didn't text me at 5:45.
And I went to work. Well, it wasn't an angel number.
Well, still, I was up. At 5:45 your time, I'd been up for 2 hours.
I know. You were getting ready for lunch. At that time, but
And my lunch was, I did have like a classic turkey and cheese Sammy for lunch today. On just like, you know, bread. Bagged bread.
Whoa.
Yeah, it really hit the spot. Put chips in it. Love that.
What kind?
Salt and vinegar. My flavor of the moment.
What's your favorite brand of salt and vinegar chip?
Thank you so much for asking. I do have an answer. Boulder, I think.
Yeah.
Or Canyon brand. Boulder.
Oh.
And
is it Boulder Canyon? Not to be crazy.
No, it could be both. It could easily be Boulder Canyon, but this podcast is not about fact checking, so I'm not going to know that. We'll call it Boulder Canyon. Boulder Canyon, and I like their apple cider vinegar flavored chip.
Ooh.
And it's made with avocado oil because I'm a freak who avoids seed oils. I know the research on that is back and forth, but...
You have to do what makes your heart sing.
I have to do what makes me feel elitist and better than, you know? I'm like, well, I don't eat seed oils. Fuck off. Like, who cares?
Well, I'm sure you're around enough almond moms that you have to.
I'm weirdly not around them. I'm not around that many almond moms.
That's crazy to me.
I know. I'm like, you guys, do you see what's in this lunch? Give me it. You know?
Give her it.
Yeah.
Would you say your day was... Oh, wait, hold on. Well, I just want to say I bought kettle-style salt and vinegar chips to go with Caesar salad because that's something that we both obviously connect over.
Yes.
So bitter. And I love bitter, but I'm like...
What is the like kettle brand? Okay.
Yeah.
Boo. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Whatever flavor they make.
And when we speak of kettle brand, we would be remiss not to talk about the Savory Girl. Are you familiar?
Wait, yes, because sometimes you ask me if I know the Savory Girl, and I say no, and then you send me a video of the Savory Girl.
So for those of you who don't know, the Savory Girl is a influencer on TikTok, Instagram, wherever you find your local influencers, she can be found. She has like a really striking look. She's like very pale and like big eyes, high eyebrows, dark black straight hair, and then she sort of like talks like this, and she says gorge, and she's like I'm a savory girl, and then so she's like, I'm gonna make the dirtiest drink known to mankind, a dirty martini, and then she always is eating kettle brand chips, and she's like, yeah, these are good, but the drama that occurred with her, so much unfolded,
so much.
It's like, you would think that, like, finding out that, like, she was, A, secretly Australian, B, a secret porn star. You would think those two things tied up in a bow together, that's enough of a scandal. However, she also has this video of her online as part of her sex work, I believe, And in it, she like asks an ICE officer to show her his penis, and then kisses him.
Does he do it?
So she loves ICE. She loves lying about being American or lying about being Australian, and just like deletes every comment about any of it. I've been waiting for her to comment, but I've unfollowed because I'm not a psycho.
That's so bananas, and I thought you were going to say she asked an ICE officer to show her his penis as a prank, and then she cut off his penis or something.
No, I think she was like, nice. So I hate that girl.
There's no way.
Holly B.
Holly B the savory girl.
But she loves kettle chips. Sorry, what did we come here to talk about today?
Well, that's sort of your thing. Well, I was also going to ask how your day was.
Okay, my day is so much better now that we've just seen Lou's cat Egg rub her perfect little face against the microphone and we heard her purring.
Yeah, she's being sweet.
Yeah, is it true? Okay, what do you think cats are? Speak your truth.
Unknown.
My Scientology TV.
Solid liquid gas. Oh no.
That's okay. Sorry. What do you think cats are?
No. Solid liquid gas. Spirit.
Yeah.
Angel. Alien. Perfect babies. There's like rarely a cat I meet that I don't love.
That's awesome.
Even when I'm scared of them.
Because a cat can be really scary. Those are 444. Sorry, they're a fearsome beast. Anyway, despite my TV going black, we came here to talk about Scientology. I had the temple up back there, in case you couldn't see it. Yeah, well, one of the temples, because they're international, baby. They're all over the place.
Yep. Did I tell you about the new one on the Columbia campus? Sorry.
No, but please do.
Because there was one on the like 5 Street intersection of Southport and Southport
by the
Southport
and the other
Golden
one.
Apple.
Yeah, by the Golden Apple. You know? Exactly. Yeah.
By Pockets.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know about Pockets, but
Pockets is this. I've seen 2 of them in my life. Sorry. This section I'm calling ADHD. Pockets, I've seen 2 of them in Chicago, and they look like defunct 90s Weight Watchers restaurants, and like the whole thing is that everything is served in a pita pocket. Which was also a huge part of me as a child learning diet culture.
Was pitas?
Yeah, well, it was like, it's stupid because it's fake, but it's like, instead of fatty, fat, ugly, fat bread, put it in a pita pocket.
And it was
like, fatty.
Oh, so it can be the same.
And it's like, okay, so different grains. Complex carbs regardless. Anyway, but there's a newer one that's like close to the West Loop, and they both look like ghost town. Anyway. Scientology was at that intersection that I can't remember of Southport and Golden Apple and Pockets. Tiny. And like so much surveillance on the outside. And then all of a sudden one day it was gone. And then I was driving in the South Loop, and there is a giant new Scientology temple next to the Dwight dorms on the Columbia campus. And I will say it's a dream of mine to take an edible and try to like go to a church service.
Hey, don't do that.
Well, you'll teach me why not.
Of all the topics that we've covered, where like we've forgotten to at the top be like, and everything in this podcast is alleged, and like whatever you hear today is totally just made up. This one I am like, just so you guys know, everything I'm saying is alleged, and I don't know anything about Scientology, and I would never have anything bad to say about them. And while I think that they're horrifyingly scary, I say that with respect. The amount of times in my research that people were like, don't underestimate them. Everyone was like, they're They want you to think that, like, wow, this religion is, like, so crazy, stupid, Dumbo. But they are a danger. And then I do love when people would say, like, and no one in Congress is doing anything. And it's like, okay, well, people in Congress aren't doing anything about a lot of things. I don't think Scientology is at the top of the list.
And it's probably, frankly, could be higher than the other important things. I don't know.
I bet it is. Okay, so last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry about the technical difficulties, you did an episode on Mormonism. I learned a lot from you. Okay, what do you think your baseline level of knowledge is about Scientology? 1 to 5. 5 being that you are David Miscavige. 1 being that you've seen the sign and thought, they spelled science wrong.
I'd say like a 2.5.
Okay. So
maybe even less. Maybe it's just a 2.
Love that. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for being vulnerable. I've created for us a little bit of a history, just a taste, because I was like 2 hours into my research before I even got to the Sea Org, okay? And you know how big of a deal the Sea Org is. Anyway, so I have I have a little true or false game prepared for us. Are you ready?
Not at all. It's 3 you can get in it.
Okay.
Okay.
True.
I'm so scared of what I'm going to learn. I'm so sorry. I keep cutting you off.
No, please. I keep yammering and yapping.
It's the timing. No, it's the timing of delay. It's the timing of delay.
Ugh. This is why...
Come be in this room.
Exactly. We need someone, a funder. What do they call those? A sugar daddy? No.
Oh, a benefactor.
Thank you. We need a benefactor so that we may be in the same place and never have to work again a day in our lives. Other than on this.
Please. Well, this is my life's work.
I mean, this is what's most important to me going on right now. Anyway. Other than my love of Scientology now. Not a love in a way where I think, yeah, good job, guys. But love in a way where, like, you're like, and then what happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, Lou, true or false? The creator of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, is a singer-songwriter by trade before creating the religion.
False.
False! He was originally an author before inventing Scientology in 1950.
Okay. I was going to say, my brain is a special one. And I think when you said his name, I heard Hubble telescope. And so I thought you were going to say he worked at NASA. And I thought you were going to introduce... So anyway.
No, I wish it was that connected. But no, he was an author, which, like, good job. You know, like, you wrote the ultimate fantasy novel, Scientology.
Yeah.
Okay, so he invented Scientology. That's true. Scientology, true or false, originated as a form of talk therapy called cinema diagnosis theory.
I believe that's true because I feel like I've heard that, like, the initiation process is like you're going to be in a dark room and you're going to tell me everything you've ever done.
Fantastic.
And that's spooky.
That is spooky.
I learned that from Leah Remini.
And we've all learned so much from Leah Remini. Shout out.
Mm-hmm.
She's honestly kind of cool. I'll say that. But I'm sorry, that's almost true. Scientology did originate as a form of talk therapy. However, it was not called cinema diagnosis theory. It was called Dianetics.
Okay, and I've heard that. And cinema diagnosis theory, and I can say it, is something you made up or is true?
Something I made up. Something we could invent.
Yeah, well, I liked it because of movie stars, obviously.
Exactly. I was like, that's clever. Good job, CJ. But if you were going to invent a seed for a religion or cult that was based on cinema diagnosis theory, what do you think that would look like for you?
It would be like a Rorschach test, but with movies.
Okay, so you'd
But maybe just clips.
And then you'd be like, what do you see? And then they're like, I've seen this movie.
Yeah. And I'd be like, but what % would you give it on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh. Okay, fun.
I would put them in isolation.
Okay.
And Clockwork Orange, if I were like bad, you know, I'm not a cool cult guy. I'm like mean and bad.
Yeah.
So I'd isolate them and I'd make them watch a bunch of movies, Clockwork Orange style. And then I would make them a Letterboxd account. And then I would just give them like 3 weeks and then visit their Letterboxd account after that.
And be like, this is what's wrong with you because of these opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I bet you could get people to join with that. Because, like, people really want to feel superior because of their movie opinions. So.
Yeah.
I support that.
It could work on most of Chicago, I would even say. Not to be crazy. But people love movie here. So many film clubs.
That's like, did you like the face I just made? It was insane. To be part of a
people love movies.
To be part of a film club, I was gonna say, to be part of a film club when like you're not in school is actually a great way to make friends and connections. And so I don't know why I was gonna be judgmental about it, other than I guess that like I'm speaking from my seed of loneliness that is blooming.
Well, we can also address the film bro, you know. That's not really someone anyone wants to hang out with.
No. I also just like, yeah, people being like too into anything in that way. You know what I mean? If you're going to be like, I actually really love plants, and I'm going to tell you like, ooh, this is a philodendron hyperstignosis mata. I'd be like, great. I love that you know that. But if you're going to be like, actually, when Forrest Gump says that life is like, I couldn't even finish that because I was
being a contrarian. Yeah.
Boring. That's what I don't like.
When it doesn't come from like a place of love and passion, and it comes from a place of like superiority and being contradictory. Not contradictory.
Condescending.
I'm dead inside and outside. Thank you.
Yes. Being condescending is the worst thing you can be. And I'm saying that.
After apathy. For me.
Gosh, I don't know which one is worse. They're so similar, somehow.
Yeah. Because when someone's apathetic toward your passions, that's being condescending to me.
Yes. There you go. You made the connection. Kiss your brain. Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard invented Scientology in 1950. It was originally talk therapy called Dianetics. True or false? Scientology believes that past trauma, including trauma suffered in past lives, prevent their souls from progressing.
I'm gonna say true.
It is true, which is a bummer because there are so many interesting schools of thought being like, Earth is a soul school where like you just like keep regenerating here until you get it right. So Scientology is a little too close for me on that one.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I also like if someone hasn't experienced trauma, do they just like torture you until you make up your trauma from past lives?
Maybe.
Foreshadowing.
But don't worry. Okay, so yes, it's true. The trauma you experience makes your soul be bad. But don't worry, because this is why you need to participate in a process called auditing. Now, this little blurb, not a true or false statement. This is just like what I could tell about the process. Auditing is auditing. Am I saying that? Mm-hmm. Auditing. That's like what the IRS does to you if you didn't do your taxes. Mm-hmm. Have you done your taxes?
Hey, guys, tax day? No, I filed for an extension, to be completely transparent on that.
Thank you so much for your vulnerability and honesty would really endanger you in Scientology. So
just filing taxes as an independent contractor is a circle of hell.
I hate.
Get in there.
I hate to do my taxes because I hate what they go to.
Let me list the reasons. Yeah.
I would be happy to pay to like maintain roads and like let libraries and schools be open.
That's awesome, and I like that too.
Yeah. A lot of the other stuff, I'm gonna say no thank you.
Not for me. Yeah. For me, and I don't know if I can say it's the worst part of taxes for me, is that the government already knows what you owe. So hand me a slip and tell me how much, and let's both go on our way.
Do you think that, like, you have to file your taxes so that way you can't argue them? You know what I mean? So, like, if the government was just like, here's what you owe, I'd be like, based on what? What are you talking about? You know? So, like, but if I'm doing it, I mean, I'm not reading when I do it. I'm just plugging it all into TurboTax. But,
Yeah.
you know, that I could, if I was a thoughtful person, look at it and know more things.
I think that makes sense. I also, I think there's a 1,000 million reasons, but I think they want you to be so confused that you put it off forever and ever, and then they make so much more money off of you.
What was the time when it was like so much of the government was shut down or something, or like was underfunded, but the IRS was still like, don't worry, we're here and we're going after this like single mom of 4 who works at a grocery store, as opposed to like Bill Gates.
Is that now? Are you talking about now?
Oh, that's okay. Got it. Thank you. Okay, so different kind of auditing happens in Scientology. Some might say just as bad, if not worse. Okay, and as far as I can tell, it is defined as when a pre-clear, because you want to get to clear level. I assume that like is like then your soul is clear of the trauma. I don't know. So when you're a pre-clear member, you have to go and work with an auditor. And don't worry, you have to pay. You have to pay for that, right? So
totally,
you're paying
because taxes.
Duh. So maybe okay. So what I'm learning is Scientology is the IRS.
There's a good chance.
Anything's possible. It's all connected. Okay. So you go to the person and you pay for it, and then they tell them all your past traumas. Okay. Because why would you do that?
Wait, so is the premise that your trauma is because you're bad? The trauma's happening to you because you're a bad person?
A little bit. From what I could tell, that's part of it. Like, bad things happen to you when you do bad things. But also, like, the bad things have happened to you make more bad things happen to you. So you have to go get audited.
Okay, and then could you please repeat the last question now that we've clarified that?
Now, why do you think, this is just speculating, why do you think that would be part of a religion? To have someone have to sit down with you and tell you every bad thing that's ever happened to you?
Blackmail.
Yeah, me too. That's what I also think.
Right? It makes sense.
It makes the most sense.
Give me, like, control. Yeah. Did I say control the first time?
No, you said
control. It's control. Blackmail. But that's control. Yeah.
Or you could be like in Hamilton. Have we talked about Hamilton in every single episode?
Probably. Lin-Manuel Miranda haunts me.
That's rough.
His
or like
spirit's attached.
Okay, well that could have happened through Scientology. We'll get there.
He attached himself to me? I don't know if I would. Oh.
Yeah, sorry. I would. I don't want to be haunted by Lin-Manuel, but I also would you rather be haunted by Lin-Manuel Miranda, not a Scientologist, not affiliated with Scientology, or Tom Cruise?
Totally.
Or we can add him into John Travolta. You have 3 options.
Okay, well, being haunted by John Travolta would be the scariest one.
Yeah.
I have to fucking go Lin-Manuel Miranda, and that sucks.
Don't you love that Scientology breeds a kind of man that's better than Lin-Manuel Miranda? Wow.
That's so freaky. I was going to ask, and I'm so sorry to keep derailing. I don't mean to, but it's an important question, is would you rather be haunted by Lin-Manuel Miranda or Matthew Morrison?
Oh, God. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda again. It's...
Yeah. He's the lesser of 2 evils every time.
We should do a whole episode where we just sort of do like a March Madness bracket of Lin-Manuel Miranda versus and see who's worse. Or better.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. Back to auditing. So you go, you pay to get audited so you can go tell someone your entire traumas. And don't worry, during that process, you are hooked up to something called an e-meter, which I learned from listening to an episode of a podcast with Jenny Miscavige. Remember that name, Miscavige. Where it's like a lie detector test, ostensibly, and like measures the electric impulses in your body that are supposed to have something to do with your mood. Anyway, so you're hooked up to that the whole time. Great. And so like that's what you are that's why you're in Scientology, so that you can be audited, so that you can ascend to the next level. Okay.
Of course.
So true or false, the hierarchy of auditing stages is contained in a document known as the Cave of Blind Enlightenment.
I'm just like so afraid to say true, but it seems true.
Right. So what's your final answer?
Yeah. My final answer will be true.
Okay, so what we're learning today is that, like, I'm so good at making up Scientology terminology, because the document of the hierarchy of auditing is actually called the Bridge to Total Freedom.
Not the Bridge to Terabithia.
Different, which L. Ron Hubbard did not write, as far as I know. Although he did seem, like, really horny for bridges. Like, he, like, even when the religion was just a form of talk therapy, he had this whole, like, thing he went on, like, comparing life to the engineering of bridges. And he did say one thing that made me go, that's pretty fucking cool. He was like...
Sometimes the freaks know.
I know. He was like, we are on the precipice of being between man and a higher self. And we just need to get there. Why the hell aren't we getting there? And then I was like, okay.
It's a question I ask myself every day, brother.
I'm obsessed with trying to connect with my highest self, and she's never answering my calls.
Freak.
Anyway.
Well, building a bridge seems hard also.
I mean, I couldn't do it.
So that's probably why. I need to watch some videos of people building bridges.
Or just that episode of the Magic School Bus. Yeah. Were you a Magic School Bus kid?
Okay. Yeah. Brother, I know it's everyone's favorite episode, but when they go into Arnold...
Well, actually, there's one where they go into Arnold, and there's one where they go into Ralphie.
Shoot. Which one turns orange because they ate too many cheese puffs?
Arnold,
yeah.
Wow, should we do a whole episode?
Ralphie.
Ralphie was the one where they'd go. No, that's Carlos. Where Carlos would make the bad jokes, they'd go Carlos all in unison.
Carlos.
Ralphie was the one with the red baseball cap backwards and green shirt.
What did they find in him? Sorry, I can't stop derailing.
No.
It's awful.
Hey, we came here to talk about so much more than Scientology. We came here to talk about whatever we want, because this is our show and not yours. What is that from?
Not yours.
Oh, that's from like Oh, yeah. Remember when that was their show? That was like, and now they're so uber famous. Anyway.
That is the best show that's ever happened. Anyway, okay.
I loved
Sorry.
So Ralphie...
You don't even have to tell me what happened inside Ralphie.
Oh, don't worry, I will. Ralphie he was sick. And they went inside of him to learn about, like, why he was sick. Not necessarily to help, just to see. And I remember that they got into him through a cut on his knee.
I'm going to have to watch that post-recording.
Yeah, please. Have you watched the remake?
No.
It's cute.
You like it?
It has the voice of your wife, Kate McKinnon. Is she one of your wives?
No, she's sort of a close friend.
Oh, sorry.
She's just a close friend.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push my agenda.
Okay. I have a lot of wives.
Top 3 right now.
Stop trying to get me to marry Kate McKinnon.
Sorry.
It's never going to work between us.
Okay, you're just friends.
Okay.
But I am dying to know. Top 3 wives right now. In this moment. Go.
Top 3 wives right now? Ah! Okay. Jesus. I don't have any wives now.
Oh.
Florence Pugh, probably.
Yep.
This woman who I've become obsessed by, Haley Benton Gates.
Not familiar.
And who's my third wife?
Meg
Stalter.
Okay, good choice.
Those are my three. Haley Benton Gates was in The Moment, and also I think Poor Things, but I just saw her last night in The Drama. And I think she's the most beautiful woman to walk the planet.
Wow.
But also SZA. Okay, now all of my wives are coming to me, and I have to stop.
Okay, but don't worry, I'll stop you right there, because true or false? When you reach a higher state of awareness, it is known as becoming an operating thetan.
Say the last word?
Thetan.
Okay. Well, this time I'm going to say false for fun. See what happens.
It's true.
It's true?
And I might be saying...
That one you made up, though.
I know. Well, it wasn't until I said it out loud that I realized it sounds like I was saying Satan with a lisp, which is, like, really funny.
Well, and I was also thinking of the vegan protein, Satan. Satan.
Oh, Satan.
Mm-hmm.
So, sort of all in the same genre there. But it's spelled Thetan. So I would say Thetan. But how would you say that? Same way?
I think so, too. Thetan.
Okay, great. No, but that's true. You are studying and auditing and doing all of that stuff so you can reach OT status. And then within OT, there are multiple levels of that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And from what I can tell...
Do you know how...
Do I know how many? At least 3.
Okay.
And from what I can tell, auditing is the same thing as interrogations, but that's not true. Because an interrogation is a punishment that they make you go through, where like you sit in a room for 9 hours.
Oh, so that one's a punishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other one is like maybe like with someone who's a little bit cooler and is being like, well, I guess do 10 Hail Hubbards and then you're gonna be Gucci.
Totally. I love a modern confession.
Yeah. But I don't actually think
Gucci after you do 10 Hubbards.
Do 10 Hail Hubbards. Whatever. I don't know if that's true. I made it up. Okay, but don't worry. Truth or dare. And by that I mean
dare.
True or false. Okay. A dare. I dare you to tell me if this statement is true or false. Once you become an operating Thetan, you study the Xenu doctrine.
You're just pranking me back after my planet question.
I'm not doing that.
The Xenu doctrine?
Xenu.
And thank you. And no. I'm gonna say that's true because now everything's freaky. Thetan.
Yeah, it is true. And I think I gave it away a little bit when I knew how to spell it. You know, like if it was a word I made up.
Well, you have things written there.
That's true. I am reading.
You've got stuff written there.
I am reading. Not to brag.
He's reading.
Okay, yes. So the Xenu doctrine. Wherein this doctrine describes an ancient deep earth emperor who killed the dinosaurs in order to wake May. Hold on. Let me start that sentence over. This doctrine describes an ancient deep earth emperor who killed the dinosaurs in order to make way for mankind to populate the earth and therefore to attract body thetans.
This subject is so bad for podcast because every question speechless immediately after. I guess true, because I feel like there's so many religions that include dinosaurs being like part of the grand plan, and that's weird. So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
True.
I gotcha again. I love making up Scientology. Okay. No, the doctrine, the Xenu files, or doctrine, the Xenu doctrine actually is confidential and believed to describe an ancient intergalactic story about a ruler named Xenu, who brought billions of beings to Earth to be destroyed, creating body thetans to attach to humans. Now, the only reason that we even have, like, that much information is because the doctrine was used as evidence in, like lawsuit against Scientology. And when the judge let that be used as evidence against Scientology in the case, followers of Scientology stalked the judge, harassed him, and drowned his dog. Because David Miscavige, head of the church, was so mad that this previously totally confidential document written by L. Ron Hubbard, because by the way, all of the teachings are written by L. Ron Hubbard, and they are considered to be perfect. There have been no adjustments made to Scientology officially.
Ever? Wow. Wait, okay, is it confidential to people who aren't involved in Scientology, or is it confidential except for to the kings of Scientology?
You have to be an operating Thetan level to study the Xenu doctrine. So you have to have undergone a certain amount of auditing in order to even, like, get your grubby little mitts on it.
That's spooky dooky.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that, like, all religion is made up, and the more I learn about all of the people's religions, the more convinced I am that gods are real. Like, I feel it as if it should be doing the opposite. But instead, I'm like, these private things make me feel so suspicious. Anyway.
Well, yeah, right? I mean,
freaky.
So much of the need for privacy comes from the fact that we as human beings are creating things that deserve suspicion, you know? I think then also, like, there's stuff you want to keep to yourself, you know, but that's, like, different than,
for sure,
you know, the nefarious.
Well, I guess in a way of, like, let me sound so crazy, because I've never done that on this podcast before, sound crazy.
No.
I feel like people putting names and reasoning to, like, bigger powers, like, activate bigger powers, even if it's not necessarily like what they were thinking. Like, I feel like that's a way in. I don't know if that makes sense. I'll have it fully formed in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I like what you're getting at with that. I feel like that makes sense, right? Like you speak them into existence.
Well, words are power. Words are spell, as we've discussed. And then I also just feel like, you know, all it takes to get Bloody Mary to appear is saying her name 3 times. So, like, what weird entities are appearing because people, like, mistakenly summoned them out of, or, like, are there powerful entities that see people seeking power and control over the masses, and then they come out and they're like, I'll help you.
Okay,
I'll freaking help you out, brother.
You said that you were gonna sound crazy, but you actually sounded so fucking cool.
Sick. I should have put sunglasses on next time. Smoke a cigarette.
Oh my god, that was so charming.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. True or false? Despite reflecting influences from Hinduism, Buddhism, scientific ideas, science fiction, and psychology / self-help popular media, the religion actually rejects modern psychiatry, believing it is harmful and abusive. True or false?
I want to say true.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it makes sense because of creating your own, like, rules. But the hot topic in my life the past, like, 2-3 weeks has been people completely disregarding introspection and, like, self-reflection, because that's what slows people down from being successful. Like, the reason billionaires can be so successful, it's literally just bros being red pilling, you know? But they're just like,
but, like, that's
to look inward would keep me from success.
That's so crazy. And also, to sound totally crazy, I hate that, like, this, like, that red pilled has become co-opted by these, like, stupid, fucking nasty, self-absorbed bros when it's like, actually, like, wake up and look around and, like, connect with people makes more sense to, like, to me. I've never seen The Matrix. I can't watch it. I'm convinced if I watch The Matrix.
No, we have to.
Okay.
When we are in person.
Yes. Kissing?
This is us watching The Matrix. This is our brains while we watch The Matrix.
To be fair, that is our brains always.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was, the only reason I was going to say I can't watch it is because, not to sound crazy, but I'm convinced that if I watch The Matrix, I will, like, wake up from The Matrix that, like, we are all in, and then sort of have to, like, contend with that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You're already, like, halfway there, though, dude.
Well,
and you don't sound crazy.
I just said
you don't sound crazy.
I can't watch a movie because I'm afraid it will change my plane of existence.
I don't think that's crazy. Not to sound crazy, but I think that's like the whole thing.
The whole thing. That's what all of this is about.
I just think that's why those movies were made, is to change your plane of existence.
Yeah.
Positive style.
Right. This podcast is just the two craziest women in the world going back and forth going, no, that's not crazy. You don't sound crazy. You're so right.
If we were men, this would be horrible. It's still a little horrible.
No, I think we're spot on. Oh my god, a tinfoil hat, but it's a yarmulke. Write that down. Okay. Oh, yours.
Hey, to all of our Jewish listeners. Oh, well, this isn't a tinfoil hat. I was remelting a candle earlier because it burned unevenly.
Of course. I should have known. I'm so sorry. Anyway.
That's on me.
Okay, anyway, true or false? Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard, you're familiar.
Totally.
Defined...
telescope.
No, different. Defined Scientology as knowing about knowing and the science of knowledge.
I want to say false because I really connect with knowing about knowing.
I know. It does sound like something I would make up, but it is what L. Ron Hubbard defined it as.
Fuck!
I know. Well,
so mad.
During all of my research, I was kind of, I think Scientology is cuckoo bananas, but during my research, I was like, wow, was there ever like a heart in it, like when it was run by L. Ron Hubbard versus now that it's been taken over by David Miscavige? Because apparently David Miscavige is like the worst man to walk the planet, super evil style. And also, like, L. Ron Hubbard was like, that jabroni's not taking over for me. That guy's not my guy. So David Miscavige waited until L. Ron Hubbard died and then, like, went through and took down everyone who was ahead of him until he got to be head of the church.
Interesting.
Because, yeah, knowing about knowing, I love.
I love that, unfortunately. Wait, don't answer if it's a question later, but when was Scientology founded?
It was founded in 1950 or 1955 is when L. Ron Hubbard came up with it. But don't worry, there's so much more to it that follows. Okay. Speaking of the founding of Scientology, true or false? The first country to legally recognize Scientology as a tax-free church was Australia.
I would say that could be true because Australia is like second America.
It is true, and Australia recognized Scientology in 1983, and the U.S. did not recognize it as a church until 1992. Great year.
Okay. Oh, my friend was born that year.
She was.
Guess which one?
The best one.
Okay, interesting. But L. Ron Hubbard was an American?
Yes.
Okay.
An American
I love
author. Self-help guy. Because the whole thing started
Do you
as
remember
like
that band, The American Authors? Sorry.
No. What do they sing? Sing it.
Ooh, ooh, remember the best day of my life. My life.
That band is called The American Authors?
Yeah, baby, I met them twice.
Twice? Hey, what kind of dork were you that you were seeing them twice?
Big dork.
Because
You would never know that now based off of who I am.
Yeah. Very cool.
But, I used to be kind of a dork.
Oh.
I think we should bring back dork.
I was going to say, I think we should bring back dork, yeah. Both as a lifestyle and as an insult.
Is that what we call our fans? Dorks?
Dorks! Oh, you guys are dorks. One time, when George W. Bush was president, my mom was like going on a rant about him, and then she went, he's such a dork! And it was so funny.
I love that.
I was like...
I love when moms get mad about presidents. They say the best things.
One time...
And I mean that.
Trump was on the TV, my mom got up and was hitting it, and then my dad was like, don't do that! You can't break the TV!
Oh, God.
And this is why you should
one of my favorite...
just live at home forever, you know?
Deactivate? Oh, well, that.
Yeah.
Kate Berlant tells this story about how her parents have watched MSNBC constantly for so long that when they change the channel, the like ticker tape line is burned into their TV. The MSNBC like logo is burned into their TV.
That's amazing.
And baby, if I can't relate to that, whew. Okay.
Mine's the Disney Channel insignia.
Well,
just kidding. Okay. Speaking of Disney stars, this is totally unrelated. True or false? Scientologists do not believe Jesus Christ is real, and he was not crucified.
True.
True. They regard Jesus as a teacher. So I guess they believe that he existed, but they do not believe that he was like the Son of God, and they believe that his crucifixion is a work of fiction. Crucifixion.
It's in the freaking word. They're on to it, him. It, him.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, they regard Jesus as a teacher, but according to L. Ron Hubbard's writing, his crucifixion was fictitious. Speaking of Jesus, Scientology is considered... Oh, speaking of Jesus, Scientology is considered all denominational. So there are members of Scientology who are actively Jewish, actively other things, going to other churches, because many, many people and leaders of the world don't regard Scientology as a religion. It is regarded as like a business marketing conglomerate or a cult. Okay. True or false? Scientology relies heavily on color theory to assign meaning to events.
Color theory as in like secondary colors, complementary colors.
Yeah, like the color wheel. And like
interesting.
The way that they are composed in an area have deep meaning.
I think I say true, and I'm afraid I'm gonna really agree with the reasoning.
I made it up.
That one I just got my ass.
I just totally made that one up. That's based on nothing. I just thought this is fun.
But I would start a religion based in color theory.
Okay, so what was the thing we said earlier that we liked to a bridge, color theory, something else,
and we can add in sort of the Mormon thing of loving space.
Okay, we'll put space in there. Although Scientology also loves space, because again, it's an intergalactic being and they all think that like we are intergalactic.
See, and this is where they would get me.
I know.
Well, we are.
Well, we are.
Aren't we?
And that's like the one component of it that like make it eligible to be a religion in so many places. It's like because there's like this cosmology sprinkled into all of these like crazy marketing schemes, then it's like, well, I guess that's their god.
I'm not upset by that. I also think we in addition to dork, we should really try to repopularize Earthling.
Oh, Earthling. Unfortunately, that reminded me of humanoid male, so...
Well, I was just gonna say my humanoid male is Earthling. That's how I was gonna say it, but then I said for all of our listeners at home.
Love it. Speaking of dorks and Earthlings, true or false?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift was offered a deity role in the church and denied it, citing their Christian values as misaligned.
I think she's too boring to like be relevant to them.
Yeah, they didn't try to get her as far as I could tell. Although there is a theory that
would they want her?
Well, because she's actually an ancient Satanist, like we all know about.
She's a girl who got lucky.
Well, she's a girl
and her
who,
dad was a part of big American corporations.
Yeah.
Nepo baby. Classic
Nepo baby.
Sorry.
And she rode that straight to the top. No, I know. She doesn't really have a intergalactic presence, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's something I'm realizing in real time, and I might cut this.
Nope.
I think what I don't like about Taylor Swift. Okay, well, and this again, we can cut this. Emily and Julian last weekend were like, "You want to come over and argue about Taylor Swift?" And I was like, "Of course," because they are Swifties. I'm using that so loosely and lovingly. They are Swifties. They understand how it looks. They know the optics.
You gotta know the optics.
They know I hate. And so we, every few months we go back and forth and try and like find common ground.
Right. That's beautiful.
And I was really trying to be like, other than her aura being beige and her being just like so mild and like dulcet derogatory, I think that she does not have a point of view on the world.
Yes.
And that's why I don't like her.
I think
her POV is like her and her life and nothing else.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Anyway.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Any ill will, but
no.
Wish you would go home.
Yeah, the list of people I wish ill will to is very short.
I have like 4, maybe.
Yeah. And it's changing every day, every minute, really. So.
The rankings, sort of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, keep on.
No, so Taylor Swift has, as far as I can tell, nothing to do with Scientology. Were you embarrassed of your British accent?
Yep. I did it yesterday, too.
I hate when I get stuck being British. It's so hard.
I know. It's been Australian more recently.
Fun. Mine's never Irish. For a while, it was Southern. I would go Southern for a while, for fun.
I love never Irish, but Southern.
It will be Southern.
Yikes. Never Irish, though. Don't count on that.
No. Hey.
Sorry, I'm locked in.
True or false? In general, Scientology is... No, that's... Oh, hold on. Wait, I think I might be done with all of the true or false parts. Oh, wait, no, here's one.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Epic.
Well, yeah, because then I just kind of started to go like this.
Yeah.
For those of you who couldn't see, I had my eyes wide, mouth open.
She was transfixed.
Because it's so crazy evil. Okay, but here's one. Last one. Then I just have more things to say. But.
Yeah.
True or false? Oh, I already gave this away. Oh, wait, no, I didn't.
I may not remember.
Good. True or false? All of Scientology scripture, written by L. Ron Hubbard, is regarded as perfect and cannot be altered. Despite being the head of the religion, Hubbard claimed to have received the message of the religion and his writings all through research rather than revelation.
The fact that it could be calculated makes it scarier. But I also prefer research over a man being like, he is how it is.
Right.
I'm going to say research, not revelation, is true because I feel like he would get less questions that way, even if it was revelation and he said it was research.
Yes. So first of all, I love that you just said that like revelation was like a true and honest option, because you said even if it was revelation, I love that he'd say it was research. even if it was. He did say that it was all research. It's like all based on his alleged research. What I did find interesting is like in this research I've done, I haven't found like any mention of God or a god. Like emperor, or I'm sorry, he wasn't an emperor. That part I made up. Like the ruler Xenu still isn't regarded, as far as I could tell from my extensive research, as a god. So me no know.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, but yes, in general, Scientology is largely regarded as a money-making scheme or cult, which builds up false confidence in its members, and then uses marketing tactics and tricks to get them out of their money. Now, the part of Scientology that makes me go, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm really scared. I don't know much. I'm gripped.
Is the creation of and the role of the Sea organization, wherein SEA, wherein members sign their soul away to Scientology for 1 billion years, because that's how much they believe in Scientology at the time, or more accurately, that's how much they were manipulated at the time, because when they're signing this contract and they're going off on these boats, they're like 12. Because Scientology...
Do they start auditing when they're 12?
So...
Like when they're wee? Because that, how do you have so much trauma? I mean, hopefully, how do you have trauma to...
Okay, so what I learned about that was I listened to a podcast with Jenna Miscavige. David Miscavige is head of the church. His wife, Shelley Miscavige, guess the last time she was seen in public?
No.
Yes.
Like a billion years ago.
2007.
She sent her soul away.
2007. 2007. And she and Leah Remini were actually best friends. Yeah. And so once Shelley Miscavige set up Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, and then was not at their wedding, and that was what made Leah Remini go, wait a minute? What's the big idea? So they have disappeared this woman, which within Scientology does seem really easy because you could just send her off on one of these boats or send her to... Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard, author. To be an author, you have to be creative, would you say?
Yeah.
David Miscavige, self-centered, cuckoo pants.
Yeah.
Less creative. Okay, I want you to guess what David Miscavige named the prison that he had built on the, what do they call it? The ranch when he took over. Guess what he would name a little prison?
Rikers.
Good one. 2 more guesses.
What's the other one on the, over there?
Alcatraz?
On the west. Yeah.
It's even worse. He named it The Hole.
Shut up.
Yeah.
The Hole.
The Hole.
Da. D-A. Hole.
That's how they said it on the podcast I listened to. The Hole.
You guys, at least copy someone.
I love...
That's embarrassing.
Right? He's like, and I'm going to take over the church, and then I'm going to make a prison, and I'm going to call it The Hole, and then no one will mess with me.
How are there so many freaks in charge? What happened? Okay.
It's like, because you have to be a freak to want to be in charge to that level. To want to have that level
like
of...
that blind audacity makes you a freak.
Yeah. And, like, you think you deserve it. Like, you know, like, you think that, like, something about you is better than everyone else to the point where, like, you should be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Really crazy.
Okay. So, he built The Hole.
Heck.
So,
of course.
People think, obviously, A, she could be dead. B, she could be in the hole. C, she could be in the place that's even worse than the hole. But she also called Twin Peaks because he's not creative.
What's going on? I haven't cried this much on an episode ever.
But don't worry. Sea Org was created by L. Ron Hubbard, so that was already in play when David Miscavige was taking over.
Okay, and Sea Org is like because of boats?
Sea Org is because of boats. And by the way, true or false? The first original fleet of boats for Scientology were named the Deity, the Diver, and Divergent.
Was that, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Were they named by L. Ron Hubbard or
Yes.
bad guy?
L. Ron.
Okay. I'm going to say true, because if they were named by bad guy, they'd be the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
If they were named by
or
bad guy,
sort of the Mayflower.
I think they'd be like David's boat. You know, that's what
boat
you name
1,
them.
boat 2, boat 3. Yeah.
These are all my boats. I'm sorry, but it is false. They were named the Apollo, Athena, and Diana. Which is interesting.
A little more classic.
Right. That he would name them after Greek gods is really interesting.
Well, people love... Well, not to sound crazy, but to me, Greek gods were Greek gods. They were here. They were real. They were Greek gods.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I feel like Greek mythology is like the purest, like...
Exactly. Every time you say, not to
mythology
sound crazy...
we have.
There you go. I'm waiting for you to say something actually crazy one day after you say not to sound crazy, because every time you say that, I'm just like, that sounds exactly right.
And that's why you're my favorite audience, because I say it in front of other people. Let me say this week, and this is vulnerability alert. Maybe I'll cut this.
Wee woo, wee woo.
Valerie, my therapist, shout out, was like, is there a reason you don't want to be on medication for your anxiety? And I was like, well, do you want the real reason, or do you want a reason that you'll be okay with?
Uh-huh.
And they were like, the real one. And so I said, well, Big Pharma. And they were like, what about it? And I was like, what do you mean? What about? I thought we were on the same level.
Exactly. What
But
do
you're
you
asking
mean, what
why I don't
about
want to take American drugs?
Fuck off.
Interesting. Anyway.
And then you said, you're fired, and hung up.
Well, I'm scared that they look at me different. And that's cool. Anyway. So that's why you're my key audience. is the moral of the story. Same
brand of crazy. Well, that belief would also fit in great with Scientology, right? They think psychiatry is evil. Okay, so the Sea Org started in 1967. The Apollo was like the big deal, like first Scientology boat. So Shelley Miscavige like grew up on that boat.
Interesting.
So she was like a really big deal before she became. I think. I read 2 articles and listened to 3 podcasts. She grew up on that boat, and that's how she became like such a big deal. But despite the fact that she's been missing for 18 years, she's actually like still. I mean, she was highly regarded as like a very scary woman too. And by scary, so Sea Org to me is where like all the scariest stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, imagine you're 12 years old. Put yourself in that time frame. You're 12 and you have to spend like 9 hours a day in interrogation, where they do this. They go, "Have you done anything bad?"
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Have you done anything bad?
I yelled at my sister.
Did you rob a bank?
Totally not.
Did you rob a bank? Did you stab a homeless man?
Wait, they severance you?
They will ask you, so if you say no, I haven't done anything bad, they employ what they called like the murder tactic, where then they would suggest things that were like much worse than things you had obviously done, so that you would admit to like whatever bad thing you had done. And then so you go through this whole process, and again, you're hooked up to the e-meter this whole time, and you're trying to get the needle to float, is how it was described in the podcast I listened to by Jenna Miscavige. So you want the needle to float, and if you can't get you'll like be in there until you get the needle to float on enough answers, and then at the end they'll be like, was there anything you didn't tell us during this process? Were there any questions we should have asked you? Did you tell any lies? Did you do anything to try to purposely manipulate the e-meter? Which, when I heard Jenna Miscavige talk about that, I was reminded of an improv workshop I did in college. So
improv is a cult, and we've proven it here today.
I really was. Like, I was like, oh, that happened to me. And imagine, you're 21 years old. You're on a college improv team. Obviously, the height of your existence.
Okay, let me try to imagine that.
And now you're standing.
God, I just can't.
You're standing in a circle, which is this shape. For those of you who can't see me, I made a circle with my hands. And then you have to stand in the middle of the circle while this strange man, he's not the improv guru, but he was a different guy. Some other loser freak. I mean, the improv guru, I think, is kind of cool, maybe. I don't remember. But this other guy, whoever was there, was not cool. And, like, imagine you're, like, a bald... Not that there's anything wrong with being bald, but you're like a bald, short, not that there's anything wrong with being short, but you're bald and you're short and you're like 43 and you're in a group of like 21-year-olds. And so like you use that as a reason to make them stand in a circle and look each other in the eye. And then you go like, what's the worst thing you've ever done? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Drama.
It was, but they make them do that like before their wedding?
You have to see it.
I don't know if I can.
I have to talk to you about it.
It doesn't seem like my brand.
I would say it doesn't have a brand.
Okay. For you?
Here's the teaser. We sort of had a, post-movie convo last night. We said, Nuance is back.
Okay, now I'm sold.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm so sorry. I also have two Sea Org questions.
Please.
Boat, what kind? Yacht? Canoe?
From...
Pontoon?
It's like a big boat. It's like a military-sized boat.
Whoa, okay. And then, sorry.
No, it's just like a big... It's not like a cruise ship, but it's like a big boat that people... Because you live on it. You live there and you're on the boat.
And then is it... I'm so sorry. The delay couldn't be worse.
Oh, no. I went doing, and then I shrugged. So.
Oh. Well, and I was looking down and being a fucking cunt.
Don't say that about my friend.
Can't believe I was looking down. Are they on boats so that they can be in international waters and, like, not be held accountable?
It is believed...
Things? I don't know what sea law is.
It is believed that was a big part of why L. Ron Hubbard did this push to start the Sea Org.
And then...
But also...
To dispose of bodies so deep in the ocean because they know we can't get down there.
Maybe they're working with the mermaids. I don't know. All mermaids are Scientologists.
Get it trending?
Get it trending.
Can we get that trending?
Yeah, can we get a hashtag all mermaids in the chat? No, L. Ron Hubbard was like, this is so that we can continue our research. So that we could do our research. So, like, Sea Org members, I'm going to sneeze.
Please.
L. Ron Hubbard said that he started it so they could, like, continue with their research. And so the people in the Sea Org are, like, the especially dedicated Scientology members. However, the if you had to guess, and I'll give you 3 options, where do
Okay.
you think the headquarters of Scientology is? 1, Dayton, Ohio. 2, Clearwater, Florida. Or
Really good option.
3, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Dang, dude, those are all perfect answers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Ohio.
Clearwater, Florida. Because you
Dang
want to
it.
get to clear level. So there was one instance of a woman in Clearwater, Florida from their, I think that's where like their ranch is, died there from the worst case of dehydration that the coroner had ever seen. But weirdly, this is the only confirmed death from that. So that is why people think that Shelly Miscavige is still alive, because they disappeared her, because killing is harder to hide for some reason. I don't know. And I will cap this off with saying my interest in Scientology was piqued recently when I had my Scientology dream, that I was suddenly on a boat with the most beautiful view I'd ever seen. And I was like, how the heck did I get on this boat? And then, because by the way, when you're on the boat, when you're in Sea Org, you wear military uniforms. And these 2 little people in their military uniforms went running by me, and they were like, come on, CJ, you're going to be late for the Scientology. And then I was like, right, I'm a Scientologist. And I had a meeting in that dream with David Miscavige, and he was like, you're on thin ice, little lady. Which is, it's very easy to get punished in Scientology. And by the way, punishments include hosing.
Shut up.
Starvation. You know, they isolate you obviously from your friends and family, but also like anything that you say to someone can be used against you. And like, so like, if you told me that you broke a Scientology law, I would go and tell whoever was above me. Sound familiar? So I love it.
Yikes.
Yeah. So what do you think is crazier, Mormonism or Scientology? Oh, and I'm sorry.
That's an impossible question. No, please.
In Scientology, don't worry, there is sexual assault of children. Don't worry. It's in there too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of what would put Mormonism over the top.
Yeah.
Is sort of. Dang, dude. Well, first of all, I want to know a million things more.
Don't you?
And I don't want to take an edible and go see what it's like anymore.
Yeah. That's nightmare fuel.
Brother, they're both so scary in so many similar ways.
Right.
But I think Scientology is just a skosh scarier to me.
I think so too.
Because of... Well, because also, theoretically, you could be a Mormon who's in Scientology. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are. But then your Mormon side would hate that, because Mormon is the only true religion. So that'd be tough. But because of my weird belief system regarding celebrities and the Illuminati and how many celebrities are involved in Scientology, I have to say that Scientology seems more powerfully upsetting. Which,
yeah, is crazy, because as of like 2014, there were only like 300,000 members. That's a baby. That's a baby religion.
I don't think they want that many members.
You think they're trying to be more elite?
Well, because, like, how many people is too many people to know about all of these, like, secret doctrines?
No, that's so true.
And these risk factors. Especially, I would also maybe imagine that, like, with social media, they have to be really, really careful about who's a true Scientologist. That being said, the sign outside of the Scientology building here is like, come on in. Are you curious? You can find answers.
Right. Well, they want your money. Now, hold on. I did just think of one more thing I would like to do.
Get in there.
I want to read you a list of celebrity Scientologists, and you tell me if you're surprised or not. Is that fun?
Boy. Yeah, of course.
List. I just want a list.
Okay.
23 celebrities who are a member of the Church of Scientology. Okay. Show me. If something is not in a list form, who is this woman? I cannot.
Well, buddy, it's not 2011 anymore. BuzzFeed is different now.
I loved BuzzFeed. Okay, I don't know who this person is.
Listicles.
Do you? Rebecca Minkoff. Does that name mean anything to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She looks like this.
Yes, she is on the new season of, well, the last new season of Real Housewives of New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and everyone was pissed. And all everyone did was ask her about Scientology, and she was like, there's nothing I can say. It's just I can be a Jew and a Scientologist, and it's not that big of a deal.
And you can.
And you can. So not surprising, and she also does seem straight up evil.
Makes sense. You never watched Riverdale. Is that true or false?
False.
Okay. So Veronica's mom. This website called She Knows is nothing but pop-up ads. But Veronica's mom.
Lucky.
Scientologist.
Okay. Not because I mean, and maybe we just have to do 42 Scientology episodes. Do people join Scientology as a means to gain popularity?
A lot of them, or like a fair few of them, are like born into it. Such as the Master Sins.
I remember that from our first sleepover episode.
Yeah. Erica
the nepotism of
Christensen.
Scientology.
But you are right that like a lot of these people that I'm looking at, I'm like, you are not that famous. Like, I don't recognize you.
Yeah.
Like, you pledged your life for 1 billion years to Scientology, and I'm like, who are you?
Oh, I had another question about that.
Yeah.
If you choose to leave Scientology, do you get to break your contract?
Right.
Do you know?
I don't know if you get your soul
because
back.
like with Mormonism, you can request to have your name removed from
the book.
The church. The book.
The big book. Okay, this website is awful, so I can't keep doing this game. But I'll
tell you what, I think I would probably not be surprised.
I know
by
any
like
of them.
any. If you said like, who would be surprising?
Barack Obama.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I could do a whole episode on that guy too.
We maybe should do a Barack Obama episode, but that's an amazing path of never having a successful podcast.
I was gonna say we might get canceled.
If we're telling the truth, though.
I know, but he's America's sweetheart, you know?
He's a war criminal, but go off.
But go off, I guess.
Go off, I guess. God, celebrity culture is so insidious. I don't know. If Meg Stalter was a Scientologist, if Chris Fleming, my favorite people to list on a podcast episode,
right.
If Meg Stalter, Conan O'Brien, and Chris Fleming were Scientologists.
Yeah.
If Bobby Moynihan was a Scientologist, I'd say
Jacob Wysocki, a Scientologist. Sam Reich, a Scientologist. No. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Never.
And this was really all just the tip of the iceberg. We barely got into the Sea Org. We barely got into Shelley Miscavige's disappearance. I mean, we only said Leah Remini like 3 times, so there's so much more.
I never said Michelle Visage. And I never said Kevin James, who was not a Scientologist, but...
Just gotta get him in here.
I should say his name a little more often. Well, Leah Remini's fictional husband.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All blart.
All cop.
So are not normal people, are average Joes part of the church?
Yeah, but like those are like the people who are like on the boats.
Working on the boats or just live?
Well, you don't just live, you work. If you're in Scientology
okay, so that's how they sustain it.
Yeah. I guess like on the ranch
Wow.
you're like doing hard labor, and then on the boat you're doing different stuff. But you're all working like 140 hours a week. You're like never seeing, sometimes like they'll separate you from your wife or husband for like security
Yeah.
reasons. But
I feel like I've heard about that.
yeah,
That part.
yucko blucko fruitcake.
Big yucky blucky fruitcake.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to convert?
9.
Oh, she's sold. My work here is done. And then I vanish in a puff of smoke.
And if you made it this far, you can find us everywhere at Speculating Wildly Pod, and all of our links are in the show description. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and most importantly, recommend us to your weird uncle.